was the first I had seen our entire application to the county for the grant. It looks really good.
Good.
I mean, they liked it, but I thought it read nicely.
Oh, very good.
And for the graffiti, do you expect us to just discuss?
Yes, ma'am. I was just going to present my options, and then you can,
Because we could vote on something tonight, but
if you'd like, you could, if your discussion leads to a vote, you can establish a vote and then take one. I'm just presenting you options. I do know that in the newspaper today, I don't know if you saw it, he mentioned we were going to be discussing graffiti as one of the topics today, so your expectation, but
so the one option that was presented and he spoke about in the newspaper, would that be in the budget to implement before the next fiscal year?
probably not.
Okay.
And I know he probably put that out there as, hey, that was the one that was most interesting. but
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the most feasible.
that's how I read it too. Like, oh, this is easy to sum up and sounds good.
For your email to pop up when you walk in.
Hello all, it is now 7 o'clock and I'll call to order the February 2nd meeting of the Amity City Council. Will you please rise and join me in saluting the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Councilor Sandy McArthur, present. Councilor Amber Leck.
Sure.
Councilor Cody.
Present.
And Mayor Rachel.
Here. All right, let's start off this evening with the consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
I have a motion. Would anyone like a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please signify by saying no. Motion passes. We'll move on to the citizens' comments and questions portion of the evening, and we go to the Yamhill County Sheriff's Office to start us off, please.
Are you ready, Sergeant Ryan?
Yep. Good evening. We had this last month in January, and looking at the totals, it's pretty consistent with your normal months. We had 159 calls for service, I think 10 case numbers, and about 22 calls for service that required multiple deputies, but it's kind of normal stuff. I know that Rodriguez has still been working on a project house, and we got a couple Deweys, I believe, out of town this month. They've been still focusing on the speeding. We've got the radar trailer down there again this last week off in Nursery. So hopefully the new speed zone enforcement is going all right. That's really all I've got. I don't think the guys have any vacation coming up this month, so they should be around quite a bit. Do you guys have any questions for me at all?
I had a question because we got the year-to-date totals seeing the past 2 years, and there were two things that popped up. That was that the DUIs had increased by 200% and sex offenses by 400%. Are you able to speak to either of those?
So if I understood you correctly, you said DUIs went up 400% in 1 year. Or
200%. So we went from 8 in 2020 to 24 in the last year, which is great.
yeah, so
Hoping.
I know that the guys have been, especially Rodriguez, working at night in Bartlett before him. Both of those guys have been focusing a lot on that, trying to get stuff. As far as behavior in the city, I don't know that it's really indicative of anything. I think most of the DUIs that we would be getting coming through Amity are simply going to be going through town on trade. We also this last year added in about the last third of the year, we added a completely standalone DUI position for the office. That is an ODOT funded position for a couple of years until we pick it up all the way ourselves. Deputy Mills is currently doing that. And I know that he's pulled several DUIs out of the Amity area on reckless drive complaints and stuff like that. So some of those numbers are going to be attributed to him just because we have somebody solely dedicated to DUI enforcement. I also don't see across the county and across the state for that matter, DUIs are not going down with the more or less legalization of all the drugs in the state. I know that the last time I got some update training through A-RIDE from the state coordinator, fatalities for DUIs related to drug impairment have already surpassed fatalities for alcohol impairment. So in reality, the floodgates have really kind of been opened. So all of our staff are trying to pay more attention to it because all of our kids drive on the same roads that your kids drive on. But there's no shortage of impaired drivers right now in the state. So we'll just keep working on it and hopefully deterring people from doing that.
Yeah, well, I'm appreciative of each of those that are taken off of the road. It was just surprising to see such an increase.
Yeah, it is a big increase. Go from 8 to 24. I mean, 24 is 24. Thankfully, we're not talking about 300 or 400, but I don't know at what point the bell curve is going to level out with the state, because unfortunately it's kind of a free-for-all right now. And so we're trying to do the best we can. I know the state's also looking into some legislative stuff to hopefully increase our testing ability with some of the drug stuff. Alcohol duties are fairly easy to process because they came up with a series of tests, clear back, I believe in the 70s, that worked pretty well for alcohol, but a lot of the drug Deweys are a lot harder to detect. So we're working on it. We did add a DRE, so that's a drug recognition expert. So Deputy Mills was able to go through that training. That's for classifying all the drug Deweys. And we're slated for another one of our deputies to be going through that school this spring. So we'll have another resource in the county to specifically be able to test for and prosecute the drug Deweys. So that's a good thing. Any other questions?
So the sex offense numbers went up from 2 to 10, and I was just wondering if you could speak to whether that is surrounding an isolated incident perhaps, or if there's been an increase in that in the city.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't be able to answer that accurately right now. I can look into it and I can get back to you. And that was for the year totals.
Yes.
Let me make a note.
Sergeant Hyatt, when you find the answer, just email me, please, sir.
Yeah. I can do that. 2 to 10. Anything else that I can clarify for you guys to let you know what's going on?
I think that's all. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I hope you guys have a good month.
You too. With that, we will move on to dig report for the evening, please.
Thank you. Eve Silverman, Amity Downtown Improvement Group. And it's very good timing because today the new daffodil banner arrived.
Lovely. Love it.
And that was designed several years ago by a local resident, Shauna Rule. And we had decided when we were looking at replacing the old daffodil banners as to whether we wanted the same one or a different one. And we like this one very much. And so here we go. And it's using the font that was approved by the tourism committee and through that grant. So there's 35 of them, and happy to have them, and they'll be up, I guess, prior to the festival.
Thanks.
We have 2 meetings that'll be happening tomorrow. 3:30, a Daffodil Festival meeting that everybody is invited to. Everybody's invited to. And then after that, at 4:30, we're going to discuss the new banners at that time. So we have 2 meetings, one after the next. The Daffodil Festival will be the 26th. Aaron Rainey is in charge of that. I don't know if you want to say anything about the festival.
I think that the main thing we'd like to have a brochure. So Aaron Rainey with Dig, and about the Daffodil Festival. So we scheduled it for the 26th of March here. And we figure it has to be an outdoor event. So that means the doors will have to be open. So we want to just maybe have a plant sale or things that can be outside. And a display of the daffodils, and hopefully we can get, if we get organized enough to get the kids to bring enough in to judge, then we can get the Oregon Daffodil Society to judge the daffodils and get the ribbons out. And so anyway, just working with the schools to get some daffodil art and turn the town daffodils on Saturday the 26th. So I think the city also is going to have a craft table, a daffodil craft, and that's going to be in your part of it too.
What time does it start on the 26th?
Well, we're having a meeting on tomorrow at 3:30. Yeah.
Probably 9. You think 8, 9?
Well, so Cody's remembering the old days, and you got them in there, you had to have them in there by 9. So, the ladies all started grooming their daffodils at 7 o'clock, but I'm not sure that that's, I mean, it was pretty amazing, you know? So, it'd probably be about 9, I would say, you know, but to have a plant sale and, I don't know, we'll see who volunteers for what, and, you know, how we're gonna do it.
So we're gonna definitely try and get some artists from the elementary school so that we can decorate the walls and get some plant vendors, and we'll see, you know, it's something that we wanted to do 2 years ago when we had our regular festival with all the things that we had planned in terms of art and other vendors. We had to cancel so quickly. So we thought, you know, we wanted to keep this alive and going, but something that if needed to be canceled, we can do it. And of course, the most important part about the Daffodil Festival are the daffodils and plants. So that's what we're going to do. The other thing that we will probably continue again this year will be the flower baskets in the spring with the FFA students planting them. And I wanted to tell you that, you know, the city has that Christmas Done Right, the contest. You are all fairly new to the council, and that idea came big to do. So here I'm putting out another idea for you to chew on over the next few months to help with community pride and community development, is to have a contest in the summer for the best front yard garden. Something that will inspire people to take care of their front yards, plant beautiful flowers perhaps, and have others look to see what's going on in the community and have them join into something beautiful to enhance the town. So there you go. You don't have to do it obviously, but if it takes hold and goes, great. So that's the report for this month, and we hope that next month we'll have a great festival.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The
Thank you.
banners look wonderful. Any questions? Okay, thank you, ladies. And I like that idea. So council, please remember to bring it back up as the year moves on. Do we have any citizens in the audience or Zoom?
Kim, would you like to say anything? I see you out there on the Zoom land. Do you have any comments? If you do, please pop up your video. I'm going to say there's some comments from the
Okay,
Oh, yes, you said not at this time. Thank you. So we're good.
thank you. All right. So hearing no other citizen comments, we'll move on to old business, of which we have none tonight. And we'll move right on to new business.
Okay, many of you note that the dais is a little light tonight, so that's because we have an amended agenda item. We have two counselors, Councilors Rich and Andrade, who have both pended resignations. One of them as recently as yesterday. We asked that council review the resignation notices and move to accept both effective immediately.
I move to accept the resignations of Councilor Rich and Councilor Andrade effective immediately.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the resignations of Councilor Rich and Councilor Andrade effective immediately. Any further discussion?
I would just like to thank them both for their service in this time.
Okay, with that, I'll ask if all those in favor of the motion could signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes. Moving right along, our next order of in new business would be our counselor applications.
Okay, so we have 3 applicants for now the 3 vacant seats. As a reminder, the 3 vacant seats are Councilor Rich, Councilor Andrade, and when Mayor King moved up to mayor, her seat was vacated. So you have 3 open seats. You have 3 applicants. 2 of them are here in person. Melissa, I apologize for George. Sorry for that, if that's wrong. AC Dunlap, and then Dennis Saucier, who was supposed to be zooming in today from Arizona, but unless Kim is also Dennis, I don't see him on here. Each of the applicants, you have their information, and to make it equitable, they're here in alphabetical order for you to interview. So, Melissa, will go first. From there, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I just want to make a note. So at the time that we were officially accepting applications, mine was the only vacancy that had been accepted by the council. And that is position number 3, that expires in the year 2024. The other 2 vacancies we have open tonight, position number 4 and number 6, those are due to expire in December 31st of 2022. So that's something that, when all these applications came in, they were coming for this longer term. But I would ask the applicants, consider your interest in any or all, and please let us know which position that would be your preference. Okay. Melissa. I think council's all had the opportunity to read the applications. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Melissa Portis. I serve on the planning commission currently, which if I'm elected to council, I will seat there. It was an opportunity for me to get my feet wet. I have been attending meetings prior to that, city council and planning, to get to know the city better, get involved, see what's happening. It was also a test of my time capacity on what I could do and commit to fully. I don't want to apply to something that I don't have the time for. So after a lot of thinking, and the open positions on the council, I decided that I might be better served. My abilities might be better served on the council right now than planning commission. We've owned for 4 years in Amity and lived for 2. So I'm not considered a long-term resident by any means with Amity standards, but I have the willingness and excitement and ideas. I'm not afraid to admit that I'm wrong in something or don't know an answer to something, but I'm more than willing to research it and find it.
Does the council have any questions? I think for now, Mr. Dunlap, can you come up and do the same? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm Casey Dunlap. I'm an ex-farm boy in California. Spent 20 years in the military. I've been involved in some volunteer groups. I helped out the American Legion here in town. I was as a teenager in a horse drill. I also helped out the military with the Union Airmen's Association, the NCOs, helped younger airmen adapt to the problems they had overseas and in the States. Just a normal guy, mainly. I was in the, with the drill team, I was with the Fraser, because my mother was in the county. I mean, that job, because she was actually in the town for federal government. My basics, just that I'm a farm boy. What I want to know is how to help the city do make the money go as far as it can go. Without too many outside active groups influencing the council. That's going on. Unfortunately, you see there's too many associated groups influencing our laws now. Now, that's what the people. I don't know what else to say, but I've never done anything like this before.
Well, we're happy to hear from you. Are there any questions from the council?
How long have you lived in Amity for?
Huh?
How long have you lived in Amity for?
That's true.
How long have you lived in Amity, sir?
I've been excess of probably about 10 years. I said 5 years, right? I don't remember exactly when I moved. Between 07 and 13, that I moved here. My wife died in 07. I lost the place I was renting shortly afterwards, and I moved to the Amity. I've been here ever since. I've seen some of the things that the council and the Dyche team have done, which are impressive, because you don't see it anywhere else. I've been around the world, so the only other place I've seen any activity like this is, and it's countrywide, is Germany. We have the big festivals that they, not only in the, you hear about them in Munich and some other big cities, the big beer fest. And it is a big party, one huge big beer party. Roughly one of their tents is about 3/4 of the length of our main street. It's fun to go to.
I apologize because I forgot to ask Melissa, so I will ask you first. Do you have a preference on which position you apply for? Because we have 3 open.
No.
And Melissa, could you say your last name for us all? Bohorquez? And then do you have a preference on which position?
I prefer position 3, but I'm happy.
Okay, thank you. Not at this time, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
So the last candidate Township just reached out to, he's supposed to be dialing in, but at this time.
Yeah, he was doing something. He's running up to his hotel room.
So he hasn't logged in yet. I don't know if you want to continue with the 2 of them, and then when I see him pop up, let you know and go from there. Basically, how you want to run it, James.
Well, it's 7:23, so I would open this up for council discussion at this point. Can you please let us know if
That's me.
Mr. Saucier pops up? Thank you. I'll just say I'm really excited and happy to see multiple people interested in this. We are a more productive council if we can control. And so I would personally like to take this opportunity to fill the seats available at this time.
We're now, we're 30 people and now we've got.
Oh, wonderful.
So I'm looking for input.
I think we have 2 very qualified people to motion to place in the seats. I move to appoint Melissa Bohorquez. Nailed it. To council position 3 to a term to expire on December 31st, 2024. A second. Do we need to do them individually?
I think to be fair, yes. ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Okay, so for the motion to appoint Melissa is my practice to council position number 3, a term to expire on December 31st, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Passes by a also have council position number 4 and council position number 6 to fill. I would motion to appoint AC Dunlap to council position number 4, a term to expire December 31st, 2022.
Second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes quickly. I want to clarify, I can make the motion, correct? Because I'm part of the appointment.
I was
process.
just looking at that, ma'am. It doesn't say one way or the other whether you can, but it does say you can vote in this particular situation. So.
Knowing that I have a valid vote, I
would
see
think
no
that-
reason that I
I find it acceptable.
Okay.
consensus. Okay, well, congratulations to both of you. At this point, I would ask if you would join us for the remainder of the meeting. Oh, do they have to?
We have to,
I
and
have to wait for the next meeting.
we have to wait till March, ma'am, for a couple, and she needs to, especially more.
So we can just, this first, get them set
You
up.
have to be sworn in.
And I need to verify.
Okay, sorry to jump the gun. I have seen other councils swear them in and set them for the meeting.
Gotcha.
I suppose we will finish this meeting off as is.
Do we want to move forward based on an application for Dennis, or do we want to wait until we speak to him in person?
We need to interview him.
I agree.
I would ask table, we needed to do that last month when AC wasn't able to make it to the meeting. So can we have, may I ask for motion to table the third application?
I pops up, looking still on this, if he said he was running up to his hotel room, how long it takes him to get up.
I move to table the application to the end of the meeting, pending possible.
Again, if I may,
Yeah.
she motioned, I know we have a motion on the table in a second, but if it pops up, you can always motion later, undo your table.
Right. Yep, yep, I like it.
So anyway, I'm sorry, you have a motion on the floor right now.
Do I have a second to Councilor Dyke's motion?
Second.
We have a motion to table the third applicant's interview and possible appointment until the end of the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes. Please let us know if it pops up.
Yes, ma'am.
In the meantime, we'll move on to the next order of new business, which is to approve check signers.
It's pretty.
Yeah,
We want to table, but because we have updated, but.
Okay.
We have updated stuff.
Yeah.
Motion to table, check that.
No,
Oh,
we
don't
don't
need to
need
now.
to.
we needed to.
We had to table it last month.
We have to get it done.
Now we need to do it. I was the same table.
Yes.
We had
Okay.
to table it.
So this agenda item is to update the current list of check sightings. We have Counselor Dyke, who's been appointed to council president, which is traditionally and historically on the check signers list, along with myself as a check signer, and we need to update the current signers of the safety deposit box to include myself as well.
And removing previous was Ryan and is it all one, I think, they were removed.
Yes. And to remove any and all others. Do I have a motion?
Motion to update the list of authorized check signers on the city of Amity first federal checking account to include Mayor Rachel King, Council President Finance Committee Chair April Dyke, and City Administrator Michael Thomas, and City Recorder and Treasurer Natasha Johnson, contingent on passing the bank's credit check and remove any and all others. In addition, update safety deposit box signers to include Mayor Rachel King, City Reporter Natasha Johnson, and City Administrator Michael Thomas, contingent on passing a bank credit check, and remove any and all others.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. The motion, is there any further discussion? Okay. So the motion is to update the list of authorized check signers to the city of Amity's first federal account to include Mayor King, Council President, Finance Committee Chair Dyche, City Administrator Michael Thomas, City Reporter Dyche Johnson, contingent on passing background banks, credit checks, and remove any and all others. In addition, update the safety deposit box signers to include Mayor King, City Reporter Natasha Johnson, and City Administrator Michael Thomas, contingent on passing a bank's credit check, and remove any and all others. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. That was wordy. Glad we got that. The next item on our agenda is a request for transit funding.
Okay, you have seen the letter, it's in your agenda packet from Yamhill County Transit. They are requesting that we contribute $4,276 to the transit fund for the county. They also state, as mentioned in the letter and in my agenda packet, we can provide less than that if we so desire. We can also choose not to contribute at all, but they would, since we do have people that do ride the bus and do use the service here in the community, I think it's a good idea that we should contribute something to the bus service to help keep our population riding the bus. So therefore, I request that you approve funding up to and including $4,276 in support of the transit system here. He popped up.
Looking at the budget for next year, do we have the wiggle room in there to do this?
We have to look at it. I think we could get the full amount. I'd be comfortable giving a lesser amount, but we think we should get something to them. As a point of reference, last year with Mayor, technically last year with Mayor leaving on the council, he denied funding them. So we have skipped a year. So
I know that, we had trouble coming up with $2,500 to fund a I mean, actually like the,
What's line item?
yeah.
it'll come out of the general funds. Pretty much, but we don't have a transit line in our budget, so we just come out of general funds.
We could come up with $5,000 to fund lights.
Right, my personal feelings on this is it's a matter of priority. That is a service that comes to our city. People use it, and I know in the future, there's plans to expand transit to the south, and it's something that's going to be, or hopefully be utilized even more. And I think as a city, we should prioritize it enough not to say we're not going to give any funds to your cause, even though you provide this service. But that's just, it would be the comfort of the council, what, if anything, you are comfortable contributing.
I agree, it's important. I just don't know where the money is going to come from.
Yeah. What could we use that for? Guys going for a transit, the whole transit's going through every community. Could we use that $4,000 our community just in town better than we could give it to somebody else?
I mean, I I think that you looked at the budget a little bit on this.
A lot of it.
You think that there's a wiggle room in there to do this?
I think that moving forward into because it would be the next fiscal year, it would be something that we need to prioritize, just like other things are prioritized. It's not that there is not $4,000 there that could nowhere to be found. Is there $4,000? We've all seen the budget, it's there. But like Counselor Goings said, it's always gonna have to come from somewhere else. So
Would we be comfortable giving them less than the 4,700?
Yeah, or I would rather do that. I mean, we didn't give anything last year, so we definitely need to help
Well,
support.
What, how did they come up with this $4,200?
I believe it's spelled out in the letter.
4,200, I'm sorry, not 4,700.
I think it just defines it as a ratio based on our population and,
Yeah.
I don't have the letter from me, I apologize.
based on past contributions from smaller cities and the original verbal agreement made when the district. That's what they did.
Verbal agreement.
It is.
And have we given anything before?
We have in the past, yes,
Do you know how much we've given before?
no, I do not. The reason I know we have given money in the past is when we were discussing moving the bus stop here at Fourth and Trade because of the foggy glass. I've got into a lot of conversations with Ms. Thompson, Cynthia, who wrote this letter, and she discussed, those sort of projects, removing the glass, upkeeping the bus stations, that's taken out of this funding. And she got on that subject that we contributed in the past and haven't. Yeah, and should continue to contribute, so.
And it really is whatever the council is comfortable with. I would say even if we contributed $100, it would be better than coming back and saying, we're not going to contribute to this. So it's a matter of what the council feels we can contribute. If anything, because it is an option to just not for this year.
That is something you can discuss on budget.
Yeah, I really like to dive into the budget more.
If we budget for next fiscal year.
Yeah, if it's next fiscal year, we don't need to make a decision, right?
Yeah, if you want to do something this fiscal year, like smaller amount, then we have it as a line item, but moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, if I may, this, you are voting on providing, the way I see this, and I was contradicting her, I'm just saying it is for this upcoming budget year, so you would tell us how much you want to budget, and then we would try and incorporate that into the budget. So,
This letter serves as a formal request to the city of Amity to approve $4,276 as a line item in the city of Amity 2022-23 budget.
What I'm trying to say, you can bring that to your budget committee, and have them go over it, decide. Like that.
Yeah.
And they'll bring it back to you.
That makes more sense, because we're kind of stabbing in the dark. I'm sure how much may be appropriate, definitely wanting to make a contribution, but I don't know what's appropriate.
Right, and
What we
it's not
can
like a
afford.
bill with a date on it, so,
Well, they're asking for it the next budget.
yeah.
I'm much more comfortable with that.
so I would recommend, maybe some of those that we do make it, I don't know how you want to do that, but we do make a contribution, but we leave it to the budget committee to determine how much we can support up to this dollar amount, something to that effect, where you at least commit as a council that you want to contribute, but then we can figure it out in the budget committee, something to that effect. How we want to motion that out.
I move that we table this discussion or this motion pending review from the budget committee. Is that?
I mean, unless that works.
The budget committee could make a recommendation.
Yeah,
to the
pending
council.
review and recommendation for the budget committee.
That could work too.
And that was seconded? Yes, sorry. That was seconded. seconded by Councilor Dyche. So we have a motion to table this item for review and recommendation by the budget committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Thank you all.
But before we go forward, ma'am, Mr. South here is on the line. He is there. I don't know if you would like to motion and vote to circle back around to him. If you want to do it at the end of the meeting, you want to. It's up
If
to
you
you.
could please wait till, put it as the last item in new business. Item I.
Item
Thank
nine.
you for your patience. I feel like we're on a roll. I want to get. The next item in the agenda is to amend municipal code, road and weight restrictions in Amity. Mike, can you give us kind of background?
So I have included in the agenda packet the current Amity City Code truck regulations, which shows traffic prohibited for weight on certain streets in the city. There was a discussion about the fact that Woodland, which is over by Salt Creek Bridge, is the road that fronts the cemetery, is not on this list, and it also should retain a 5-ton weight limit to keep that street from being damaged too much further. This is based on the recommendation of Public Works. So the request is to direct staff to amend this this chapter's 76 schedule 1 for the guidance of council, present it back to you as an ordinance change, and then have it approved that way. But tonight you're at least, you need to give me permission to either change this, change it to what you want to include, what you want to remove, and how you would like the final ordinance to look. Again, our recommendation for myself and Public Works is to include, keep everything as is, but then include Woodland Street with a 5-ton weight limit.
So I thought this was important that we bring up because of the bridge closure that's going to happen, and we've all heard about the damage that is being done with the weight limit currently on the bridge. The trucks are using our city streets to detour. They don't have much option when they get to that point, but in order to minimize that, we need to have our code and ordinances in order and have the signage to be able to enforce that. I do have a quick question. Are all of these others a 10-ton limit?
Yes, so everything listed right now, Barney Alley through West 3rd Street are currently 10-ton limits. So if you ask us or direct us to change it, we would put basically a section B1 or basically a new section C and move everything else down. And it would be a 5-ton weight limit, street, Woodland, and basically add that into the ordinance or into the schedule. Or we could take streets out, or we could have more streets. I know there was a push to have South Goucher weight limited because of the logging trucks on that street. So this is kind of a discussion day for you to tell me kind of what you want this to look like in its final form, and then I'll present it back to you as an ordinance for adoption.
How much is this going to affect some people whose living is based on driving these large rigs? Where are they gonna park these things? We don't have an option. And I'm concerned it's gonna put some people out that are making legitimate living and paying taxes and.
So is that on our current list or adding Woodland?
I don't know, I'm just making a general statement. Does this affect people whose livelihoods are based on being able to bring these rigs home?
There might be some impact, but I will state that whether we've enforced these street limits or not, because these have been in place for close to 15 years or so. So it's not like we've just added these in the recent time. These were included well before we codified our code. The only one that wasn't incorporated was Woodland, which is the one I mentioned, based fronting the cemetery.
And that street in question, someone please correct me if I'm wrong, is the one that currently has a 5/10 limit sign that no one knows how it got there.
So,
And it does not belong to the city. We have not had it removed. I feel I would be most comfortable adding Woodland to the same limits as the other streets we currently have.
I agree.
Because it is necessary that we preserve our street and keep it usable for citizens. And have the code and enforcement there, that if it continues to be an issue with the bridge closure, we have the option to do something about it if we need it.
I would like to amend the previous comment. I'm actually, God, I love this online code. The ordinance that incorporated these was passed in October of 2018, so a little bit more recent than I initially thought, but.
I'm okay with the current list, this was included. So I move to direct staff to amend chapter 76, schedule 1 of the Amity Municipal Code for the guidance of council, including Woodland on that list.
Woodland has a 10-ton limit.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to amend chapter 76, schedule 1 of the Amity Municipal Code per council guidance to include Woodland.
Yes.
Onto the schedule of roads of the 10-ton limit. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed signify by saying no. Passes. So Mike, you will get that written up and then we'll.
Yes, there will be a new ordinance. It'll take me a little bit, but it'll come, you'll see it here in a couple months.
Next item on the agenda is the LIHWAP contract.
So this one is for the low income housing water assistance program. That's what the acronym stands for. It's a partnership between Yamhill County Action Partnership, YCAP, and the city of Amity. You're basically approving Mayor King to sign this contract and address into this agreement. I will state, and I'll turn it over to Mayor King, this has been one of Mayor King's projects for about a year now. It has a part of the ongoing COVID response. So I'll take it from there.
Yeah, so I was really excited to see this agreement come from YCAP. This is kind of an accumulation. I've tried to keep council updated that the state of Oregon is implementing water utility assistance the same that they do for energy. And so it got to the point where that program was approved and YCAP would be our local partner. And YCAP sent this vendor agreement to Amity as the water and wastewater utility. And I just asked motion for approval for me to sign and us to be able to implement this for our citizens as a resource.
I move to approve the contract with YCAP.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with YCAP. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Passes. Thank you. I'm very excited to be able to bring this to our citizens. It's 150% of the federal income limit. If you fall in that category, you can go to YCAP and they will give you, by signing internet, it will be direct payment to the city to get home with water. Very cool. It's very cool.
I want to thank you for all the time and energy you put into it.
Thank you. I started it as just a stakeholder when the idea came about, and the state board did great in pushing this huge program very quickly. So to see it here is pretty wonderful. Yeah. Okay, and then also I know that YCAP and the state should have like media information that we should be able to push and share with citizens to get them founded. Yamhill County has about $200,000 that they can utilize for the citizens.com to their. Next order of business is the county contract.
This one was the late add today, so that was the amended budget that you got. This was at the request of Mayor King. Put it in the agenda today. Background to this is the contract that gives us $600,000 from the county for our Salt Creek Bridge project, which will then alleviate us $600,000 of loan and debt funding for the Salt Creek Bridge project. So it's a good contract to sign. Mayor King has been instrumental in trying to get this, advocating for this, and so this is how we get the money.
Yeah, sorry for the late notice to get it in. We just got this sent from the county yesterday, and I thought there would be consensus that we'd like to accept this money, but I thought if we could get it in the agenda tonight, we could have a vote and formally accept a $600,000 grant.
I move to approve the contract with Yamhill County.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Yamhill County. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Next for new business, we have a graffiti update.
Yes. A little background on this one. As you know, Northwest Self Storage and Earth and Wood have been hit with graffiti recently. We've also had graffiti at the high school and middle school around town. Sergeant High, the deputy, and myself have been working to get this under control, but Mayor King weighed in at one point and over the course of many months that we've been kind of discussing with the deputies what sort of options we could come up with. So Mayor King asked that I devise something with our team and then present some options as things that we could discuss. So the intent behind this tonight is just, I'm going to kind of run through these really quickly, and then it's up to you to discuss what you want to do about it, make a motion, just leave it as is. So this is, from my perspective, informational, and then Mayor King can run with it how she like. So with that, I've reached out to the juvenile system to get Judy's to come out here, for lack of better words, to do some cleaning and upkeep. They have put us on the list for that, but they currently have no one to give us. So as soon as they get bodies in the system, they'll be willing to offer them to us. So that's one option. Second, we can budget money in the every year to do basically a graffiti removal grant or reimbursement to local businesses who get tagged. So they would come to council with receipts, and then we would look at how much they spent to clean up the graffiti. You would basically say, okay, we'll give you X number of dollars back to offset the losses up to the amount that we budgeted for the year. You could basically work with each individual owner on a case-by-case basis to do some options where we would potentially offset their losses on what do you call it? A one-time basis each time. There's we could just set aside a flat amount where anytime you get hit with graffiti, you could, the city would just give you like $50 to offset the cost of your paint and material and time. And that would just be a flat rate you would just give. Granted, these are just options, so there's going to be a lot of fleshing out of these thoughts. RDI in their survey recommended maybe doing community outreach and community engagement from DIG and other entities that would basically get groups of volunteers to go out and paint over graffiti and blight in the city, and then we would basically reimburse DIG or that community group or fund them. Then the other options, more proactive, would be to help businesses install security cameras or more lighting. There's also an opportunity potentially of modifying our downtown decorative street lights to help them reflect more light downward. There's a potential of putting in more street lights around town, which would require incorporation of PGE and potentially the railroad. And the last and least option, which I think would also be the one probably the worst one would just be have, every time there's graffiti, just task public works to go clean it up on our dime. But I don't like that idea. So those are some of the options. If you have better options or discussions, this is over to you, but except for the, as I mentioned in my last sentence, except in the juvenile support section, everything does require you to set aside some budget funding and kind of decide what you want to do. The juvenile one will get when they actually have juveniles to give us.
I like the idea of more security equipment, with cameras and better lighting, because those are long-term. And that's an investment versus it costs you $500, here's $500, costs you $400. You know, it'll cost more upfront, but in the long term, a better payout if we've got those cameras. And it's like the cameras will serve a purpose for other crime as well, and possibly deter other crime. So that's where I'm thinking of going.
But the city pays to put cameras in for businesses.
I'm wondering about that.
Yeah.
The legality and what we would be doing is if we put them on public, like would it be public property, would it be private property, then we're installing cameras.
No, but I mean, you know, a lot of the businesses will have their own internal security. Maybe you have like a stipend for them. If you do this, we will help with a certain percentage of the cost, or you flat, you know, $300 towards the camera. Just
Like
something.
a public safety grant that they could apply.
Yeah, they buy their own cameras and they monitor themselves, but then like if something happens, they can go back and watch the footage, or they can turn it over to the sheriff and they can take a look at it. Just something that's available, just like the 7-Elevens have that kind of their own closed circuit. It would be helpful.
So maybe a public safety grant that could be used for either cleanup or for installing cameras or whatever is something maybe that we can talk about at a work session and try to brainstorm some ideas on this.
Yeah.
Well, that was my thought, though. This might be better suited for a work session, but I think it's important to get it out there that is an ongoing issue that has escalated recently. And we need to address it. The city, I feel, does have a place in overall with our business owners being hit so frequently that it would be great to get their voices in on the conversation too. Just to brainstorm and work towards it, but I think that
We need to invite them to a work session meeting.
specific decision. And then it might be something that we would also need to wait until budget cycle, budget. To see what we actually. But Mike has done a lot of work, and our sheriffs in coordinating, speaking with the business owners. We have codes of ordinances that they have to uphold. So every time one of these business owners is hit, the city's sending them a letter saying you have this much time to clean it up. And we need to uphold those, but we also have to recognize that maybe we have a place to help be part of the solution.
Maybe two additional comments. The deputies did mention that the graffiti found on at the middle school and on some of our traffic signs and at the high school were done by juveniles. Those individuals were apprehended and have a court date. The graffiti found on earth and wood was considered gang related. And when I expressed my surprise at that, they stated that all of Yamhill County is under somebody's gang control. So it was very likely that somebody was passing through or tagged it, but they don't, just to kind of say, this is still our turf, don't mess with it. When I asked if there was a gang present in Yamhill County or in Amity, he said maybe one person at most, probably not. It's just for all the general awareness. So they think that might have been literally someone driving by, saw the opportunity, tagged it to say this is still our turf, and just kept going. And then as far as Northwest Self-Storage, they've seen that same style and same wording of graffiti on buildings in McMinnville. They believe it is an individual that may be homeless, that transits up and down the railroad tracks or has family or relatives, friends in each town. And then as they come down here, they basically see the Northwest self-storage as a giant free canvas and repeatedly tag it every time they come down here just to do it. That was actually the impetus behind some of this with Mayor King, was that Northwest self-storage, I think in the last year, has been tagged 5 or 6 times. And that comes at a cost to them. So they've expressed their frustration to the deputies that this is killing them with time, money, resources, and paint, and they would like a little assistance. So we were working on that, and then it was when Earth and Wood figured out that what their situation was, they also expressed a little bit of dismay that they were being, for all intents and purposes, hit twice, once by the graffiti artists and then once by the city to do it on their dime. So that was part of the impetus to the conversation with Mayor King after. Want to add that to the.
And then the only other thing I want to, because you mentioned it with the lighting, is the hats on the decorative streetlights. This is something that's been brought up by multiple people. That the lights, the beautiful decorative lights we have don't cast a lot of light downward. But as to not need to replace them, there has been, the idea of put a hat on it. So that's something I think that we should look into. I don't know, were you able to get any information on if that's doable?
Yes, I contacted the manufacturer, they said it's doable, and asked them if they could give me price estimates or some sort of manufactured cost, they went quiet on me. So I haven't gotten any further information.
Okay. But I think that's also something we don't need to give direction to get all the answers until we're close to the budgeting anyways, because it's not something we can turn around and buy tomorrow.
No, that's the direction I'd like to go.
Yeah,
Because I think it's more of a
discuss
permanent
that.
solution, and maybe that's something we could look at with grant funds as well, with the public safety. Grant.
Well, I think that's a good start of the conversation tonight, and if you guys can all just brainstorm as you're able, and then either at the next work session or possibly March, we can reconvene.
Sounds great.
Mr. Saucier, thank you for your patience.
You're welcome.
So earlier in the meeting, we heard from our 2 other applicants, and there was actually 2 appointments to our council, position number 3 and number 4. With having 2 resignations accepted tonight, we have a 3rd open council position. That's position number 6, whose term expires December 31st of 2022. So real quick, I just want to make sure you're still interested in that, because at your time of application, there was only the longer term vacancy open.
Yeah, I'm still interested.
Okay, great to hear. So can we start off, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? We do have your application, thank you.
I'm sorry, were you talking to me? I apologize. It's a little hard to hear.
Oh, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself? We have your application, but if you just want to give a quick overview of who you are and why you're interested, please.
Well, I don't remember everything I wrote, but I just, I want to work. I plan on living in Amity for a while. Been, I think, here for about 5 years now. And I just like to see some good progression, growth that's proper within the city. Of course, a high priority would be the safety of our citizens. And I appreciate what you were saying about the cameras and all that, that there's more to, we're not just talking about tagging. There's a lot that goes on. I recently had a couple of German Shepherds kill some of our chickens just a few weeks ago, and I contacted the sheriff's department, and they ended up following was able to follow the dogs. They were in my yard several times and I followed them. It turns out they were going through a hole in a fence behind the fire department. I contacted the sheriff's department and they took care of that. So I haven't seen the dog since. I assume the fence has been fixed, but point being is safety. Those dogs were kind of aggressive. And I did hear, did I not hear recently that somebody, a child or some, was bitten by a dog recently in Amity?
I'm not aware.
Yeah, I thought I heard that recently, but anyways, so that, that's kind of probably some of my biggest goals. I like the water treatment idea that you're talking about. Hopefully that is successful. But I just want to join the rest of the council and try to work together and accomplish things that are on the table.
Thank you. Does council have any questions?
I move to appoint Dennis Saucier to council position 6 to a term to expire on December 31st, 2022.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Dennis Saucier to position number 6. Through December 31st, 2022. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed signify by saying no. Congratulations, welcome to the council.
Thank you.
So if you could be here for the March meeting, we'll swear you in and you'll be able to join.
Okay, I apologize for being late. I'm on vacation in Phoenix, and I was kind of hoping I had my camera pointed towards the palm trees, and so you would all see that, but they're not showing.
And you all are welcome to come to the work session.
Yeah,
As well.
yeah, so the work session will be February 16th at 5 o'clock. Thank you for the reminder.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm personally very happy we now have a full council for the first time in a long time, and a full council is a more effective and successful council.
And a very enthusiastic.
Yes.
As well. Very excited.
Yes, and I now lost my agenda. Right here. Okay, department reports. We have seen those in the packet. Mike, do you have anything to add? Great, let's hear it.
So all of you saw on your desk as you showed up today, a free COVID test kit. We have 67 of those still remaining. I presented one to all of you, one to all members of the staff. That was 13, and then we're keeping 10 in reserve, so that's 23. So that leaves us 67 out of the 90 available. We had a couple suggestions for where we send them. Councilor Goings recommended presenting them to the school and letting the school distribute them. There was an option from Ann in the library to set aside a few to put them in the library, that library patrons could pick them up if they go to the library. There was also a thought of handing them out here at council meetings. If somebody wanted them, like with everything else, you'd be on a little table and you could take one if you went in. But I just wanted to run it by you to see what you all wanted to do with those. There's no need to make a decision right now, but just kind of how you want to distribute them. These are free, gifted to us from the county as part of the overarching Biden process to get everyone free COVID tests. So this was the county's allocation, and they shotgunned it out to every single community in Amity, in the county. So we were given 90.
I thought about too, giving them out here, but then do we risk sick people coming in? I don't know.
I'd like to see maybe some being given to some of our
business partners so that they would have them available for their staff. Yeah.
Yeah, so my thoughts are, I want to make sure we keep enough for staff
For staff.
and council and family, because especially with the staff, we have such a small one that we need to be really
I think.
cautious in, the shared space. Also, I would not like to invite sick people that need tests into City Hall.
Right, because they're really only appropriate if you're symptomatic. Right. And that's exactly who we don't want coming into city. hall.
Yeah, and they ask that these be used not for screening purposes.
Right.
It's just like if you're sick and need to know if it's COVID, so, how many did you keep back for staff?
Well, right now, every staff member, every seated council member got one, so that was, and then we've kept 10 in reserve, so that's 23 currently set aside for members of council and staff, leaving us 67 in the box in my office to do something with.
So one box test for one person. So it only has one test in it.
That's two tests.
Yeah, okay.
So what would basically be one box per individual, and then each box just has two tests in it, but yeah, you're required to do one after the other.
Yes,
The fire department has tests already, but they are an option as well.
and then I know the school has,
They have tests as well.
they do, not that they're able to send home with people,
They use it.
but they do, they're well stocked with that. I like the business idea, I don't know how far 67.
No, I'm just thinking about the businesses that have staff that are there.
So what about,
Like the restaurants at the store.
yeah, so we have like a list, right, the business list. How do you all feel about sending it out? If you need a test for yourself or staff members, please contact the city hall. And then you can ask that no one's symptomatic come, but that's a resource for them to get.
Yes. I like that. But I'd still like to allocate, like every city staff member gets 2 boxes. So
I was gonna say
I
to
was
keep
gonna say
more
two.
of that.
yeah, everybody gets, Tasha gets 2 boxes and Mike gets 2 boxes. That way they.
But they each have one and they've kept back 10. So there's 9.
We've set aside 23 already.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
But if you would like, I mean, that we could set aside another, if we gave $1, would be 13. We could set aside another 16, which would cover,
I
all
would
of
feel
you
better
again.
because
Yes.
this might be a few,
Yeah.
it might be a long time that you're needing to utilize this as a staff.
okay,
Let's do that.
okay, so we'll give every counselor and every staff member one more box to include our newly seated counselors, and then, as well as all staff members, and then the rest will be available to businesses, I guess.
Let's do that. Yeah, yeah. Are you good with that?
I just want to make sure that staff has more moving forward long-term.
Yeah, and we can get more. There's resources to get more. It's not like this is the end of the road, not getting any more.
Yeah.
But for this current.
Yeah. So how? Like 50 to businesses, first come, first serve? Or just to have here to? How are you envisioning that?
I kind of like that every business gets 1 or 2. That way, if they have somebody sick, they don't have to, they have it already. I guess having sick people trying to come and obtain them, or, I don't know, just like to have, they already have like 1 on hand, and then if they use it, we can replace it out of our stash.
I know the business list just has about 30 on it.
Yeah, I'm just counting, if we did
Well, but I'm
storefronts, it'd be about 30, it'd be about 33 of them. that we
But-
have.
Do we need to give them to, I don't want to discriminate against the businesses, but I'm thinking about this,
businesses that are serving.
Well, that's why I got an email that said, if your business
Right.
would like one, please send a
Symptomatic.
non-symptomatic person. Or even please reach out to the city, and then you can
There
get
you
a
go.
phone call that says, oh, yes, we do have some tests available,
Yeah.
please send someone.
I like that,
Okay.
yeah.
So an email to the businesses just saying, we have a small allocation of this resource. If you need it, reach out.
There you go.
Okay.
I like that.
I can execute that. I wasn't done yet, so I have more.
Okay.
The next one was, I got an update from ODOT today on two things. Our USDA permits, we should get those hopefully by the 11th, so that'd be next Friday. They are currently sitting with their division chief, who is out of office until tomorrow or the next day. They expect to get them signed by Friday, but then they have to repackage them and send them back to us. We figure it'll be next Friday by the time we get them in hand. I confirmed with Keller today as well that it should only take them about a week or 2 weeks to finish all the paperwork once the permits are presented to be ready to go to bid. So I'm estimating we can go right now, all things being equal, we should be able to go to bid first week of March. That's my guess. That may flex a little bit, but that's where we are with that one. Additionally, in that phone call with ODOT, they told us that after all the beautiful work we did for the Yola Amity Hill metal signs out there, the sign near the bridge on 5th Street needs to move because it is now in the construction zone. So it needs to come out. And they did tell us that ODOT stated they advised us not to put it there. We did anyways. There's some confusion about that. So I reached out to Keeler Estates, who was our partners on that. We're going to start figuring out a way to get that thing removed and then hopefully re-sited somewhere else along 5th Street as soon as possible. But ODOT did tell us that it needs to come out because it's now in their construction zone. As an extra point to that, I also mentioned, I asked her that, so if we just pull it out, hold on to it, and then when the bridge is done, we'll put it right back where it is, and just call it good, leave the holes in the ground. And they said, no, unfortunately, once the new bridge goes in, that will be it'll be illegally in a sight line for some vehicles coming off the bridge. So it does need to move to a new location even once the new bridge goes in. So after all that work, we still have to figure out that sign.
But there's plans to work with ODOT to get a second, or new approved location on 5th Street.
So according to them, they've already gave us a permitted place, so we have to put it inside basically the zone, the permitted location, which is a circular radius that they said. So we have to go back between Keeler Estates and myself. We have to go back, find that document, see where that circle is, and then figure out a way to get the sign moved there. And
then is there cost to the city?
there may be, that's something else I'm going to work with Keeler Estates, depending on where the screw up was. If it's intentional, it may be something Salem Sign's going to have to do for us on their dime. We may have to jointly pair up again with them. I've also, Keeler Estates also said they may just say, screw it, just take it out and give it to them, and they'll just sit on it until hell freezes over. So I just want to let you know that sign has to come out. So, but we're starting the initial process, myself and Keeler Estates, since they represent the ABA and Salem Signs, and we'll figure out a way to move forward with this one. The other three, he did say, are perfect, look really nice, and we don't have to do anything with them. So we're good there.
Great.
The final comment, I hope everyone read in my document here, that out of all the ARPA money that we were given, based off of some unexpected capital improvement projects we had to do for sewer, and the cost of both the meters and the new budgeting software that we came in with, out of the full $382 some odd thousand of funding that we have available. I know I initially said we have a fairly sizable chunk left over. We actually only have about $13,000 of the ARPA money remaining at this time, free to basically do other things with. And I know that's a huge hit, and I apologize for that, but it was either, in some of these cases, buying these capital improvement pieces with ARPA money or burning it through our already continuous sewer funded. So I made the decision on some of these to go ahead and purchase what we needed using the ARPA funds that were available. Unfortunately, that took away some of your ability to do fun things with it on your choice. So I broached that with Mayor King, and she said that was understandable, but not really the preferred option. So she wanted to make sure I let you know that, so there were no further surprises in how the money was being spent. And, any hits or complaints or concerns about how that money was spent, that's on me. And now,
For the ARPA money, I would just, the only question is we have the first report coming up due because they changed the deadline,
April 30th.
April 30th. So that's all in order to report on all those funds.
They have not released the report templates or exactly what they want, but they will do that shortly. However, yes, we are ready to go to present our report as necessary when it's ready to go.
Because the first report is due the end of April, but the final guidance will officially be released the 1st of April.
Yes, ma'am.
But I know that all the purchases and expenditures have been eligible because since the guidance has come out, it's only gotten more and more flexible, and we're very careful with all the choices that. Any other questions for Mike? No. We saw Tasha's report. Gary's. Ants came in. If there's any questions on any of these, please just let me know. City attorney, planning billing report by Cobb. If there's no questions on any of those reports, we'll move on from department reports to business from the mayor and city councilors. So, Councilor Dyche, do you have anything for the good of the order? Councilor McArthur, anything for the good of the order?
Nothing to add.
Councilor Goins, anything for the good of the order?
Meeting on the 16th.
Three of us were having fun, but I think we'll be able to cover that work session. Thank you for letting us know. The March meeting. Okay. But we should be able to, but we can still do everything that we need to do. Yeah. Okay. Good to know. All right, thank you for the heads up. For the mayor's report and final comments, I have nothing. Thank you all for your patience through this long meeting. I'm sure before work session, I will remember many things that I had planned to talk about, but no more for this evening, I have to say. With that, I'll ask for a motion.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Motion passes, meeting adjourned.